something that you can simply put together at home. I just took a little glass jar and put some fake flowers in it. If you have no flowers, awesome, you can use that. Or you can look online and create some flowers that you find there too. This is a great way to do something when we're all stuck at home right now. Now, I'm going to go over the colors that I used. It's okay if you don't have exactly the same colors as me. I haven't set out my palette yet, as I'm going to need to set that out because these are acrylics when it's ready. I have a sap green. It's okay if you don't have a sap green. We just want a green shade for that vase and those leaves. My favorite green is this green gold. I really like this. Again, you can make this tone. I just wanted a really transparent green. Then everybody has some different shade blues. I threw out a cobalt blue. I threw out a light blue violet. I'm trying to get that tone in that background. Now, I know my students had different reds. You can use either for these flowers. I have a cadmium red medium hue, so it's not very orangey, a true red. And then I also put out an alizarian crimson. So I'm just looking for a nice true red to make those deep colors in those flowers and also get something a little bit less than blue for that background. Other colors I have, I threw out a cadmium yellow hue, just a titanium white, and my favorite color, my students know this is my favorite color, I threw out a Payne's gray. That's going to help me get some darker hues. I'm going to set up my palette and get this video started. I'll zoom you in. I might do a time lapse and then just do a voiceover so you guys know what's going on. Thanks. So I'm going to be using a filbert brush. I have an angled brush. I also have a round small brush for details, and with the background I'll be using my big 1-inch flat brush. Now, first thing when you're doing a painting like this, you need to look at the background. When you're painting glass, which is what we're focusing on today, is getting what is behind the glass. Since glass is transparent, you're going to see everything that's behind it. So I put this deep blue drape behind mine, so I'm going to mix that deep blue color. I'm taking some blue, mixing in a little bit of red because it's not quite a true blue, and I'm going to take that and paint my entire background first. Now that my background is done, I need to look at where I'm going to place things on the plate. I also noticed that I did not put any browns on my plate, so I have a yellow ochre and a burnt umber that I'm going to add, so when I get those flowers in, I have some browns. I may even use the yellow ochre. Now, I also put out some slow dry medium because for the glass, I want that to be really transparent. This will help me get a nice thin glaze of paint. You could use a gel medium too as you're doing that. And again, I'm looking at that base, seeing where the placement of the glass is, what would be the best. I want to make sure I get it proportionally on there so that I have the vase, the base, and the flowers all in there. So figuring out placement's kind of important. When you're doing a still life, I'm going to start with the base and then find where that glass gets placed on that base and then add those flowers in. You'll see me go back and forth here once I get this started. I'm going to, like I said, mix up the color for the base. The base isn't quite a true white, so I mixed in some of that yellow ochre I just showed you with my whites to get that base in place. Here I've changed up the shape of that base just a little bit to make it a little bit more dynamic in the painting, and also just making sure that I have space to get everything that I wanted included in this. I've gone in, filled that whole base in, again changing up that shape just ever so slightly. It's time to start getting that vase in place. So I'm going to look at that color of the vase. For me, mine is in a true pure see-through glass. It has a little bit of a green or a blue tinge to it. So I'm going to make that tone. And again, I'm using that slow dry medium to kind of replace using water, but thin out my paint a little bit, give me a little bit more work time so that I can get it on pretty thick, but move it around, take some off if I need, give myself that work time to really get the shape I need into for that vase. Now, once I have that vase in, I need to figure out where the flowers are going to be and the things that are inside the vase. So I'm starting to create where those flowers are generally going to be. I can add more to this and I'll come back and add a little bit more detail. But I need those stems inside my vase so that then I can paint more to my vase and kind of work around those stems as well. So here I'm just getting the general idea. I'm not worried too much about the form, just getting the shapes in and kind of where I want them to be. I'm roughly using the actual vase and flowers in it as my example, but I'm kind of making it my own because I don't want to create all the flowers that I have in there. Now that I have those stems in my vase, I can go back and add more detail. So I'm starting to use some of those pure whites, bring some whites in to give the reflections. I'm adding some deeper tones in. I'm starting to worry about the form of the glass, so creating the base of the vase and really refining those sides. I'm also going to come in and bring some of those background colors. Like I said in the beginning, when you're painting glass, you see everything that's behind the glass too. So I'm coming in and adding some more tones from that background, really pulling them forward, working on making this glass look more transparent. So now I'm taking my angled brush and focusing more on the details of that top of that vase, that upper lip. Mine has this little bottleneck and then a rim around the top there. I'm focusing on making it look like it wraps around those flowers, that it has some dimension and shape to it. Really taking my time playing with those colors, adjusting, remembering that I really want a light touch because I still want it to look transparent. Now, you really want to look at your object, see where the light is catching it, where reflections are coming, where there's darker tones when you're painting it. Really pay attention to those little details there, really capture where that light is and where the darks are. Here's the object again so that you can look at it as we're painting. I'm not focusing too much on the flowers as we go. I'm really focusing on that glass. I am adding some more detail to the flowers and the base, but really I was concentrating in this video on getting that glass in. So after working a little bit more with the vase and trying to get that to the point where I really liked it, I came back, added more detail to the flowers. Again, this was more of a tutorial on glass, so the flowers, I just went in and did some details. I didn't really want to overdo the flowers, but I wanted to give the feel for them. So just making sure I had those nice color changes, got in those lovely little pussy willows that I had in there too. And hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to like the video if you did.